Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about, so I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news, keeping you up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United like I do on a regular basis. Now I'm going to be giving you a bit more additional information on Jadon Sancho. There is positivity now coming out regarding Jadon Sancho, and the narratives that are coming out regarding Sancho now are totally comparison to the ones that were coming out yesterday. Also going to be talking with you about our actual replacement for Paul Pogba. Also, going to be giving you some news on Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen. So there is lots to negotiate on this video. So the first topic I'm going to start with is Jadon Sancho. So according to the media, Jadon Sancho has revealed his preference is a transfer to Manchester United over Chelsea and Liverpool. Now the main explanation for this is reflecting on his friendship with Marcus Rashford. And obviously, Marcus Rashford did recently reveal that he wants Jadon Sancho at Manchester United next season. Now, like I mentioned, I think Jadon Sancho will go well alongside Rashford and Anthony Martial in our attacking line. And if we can get Jadon Sancho in the summer, I think him, Rashford and Martial, it'll be one of the club's best attacks that I've known for quite some time. Now, obviously, Marcus Rashford has been out with a back injury, since our win against Wolves in the FA Cup. He's been out with his back injury. Solskjaer did make the wrong decision by playing Rashford in that game against Wolves in the FA Cup, because if he hadn't played him in that game against Wolves in the FA Cup, then probably more than likely this injury wouldn't have occurred. But I think when the season does eventually resume, and I think the season's set to resume in July, Marcus Rashford should be back in action. So that's very, very positive news, because Rashford, to be fair, has been stepping up his fitness regime. Up until this point, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. I don't know from now if he'll spend the entirety of his career with the club, but so far he has. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. And since then, he's become an integral part of our team. Definitely one of our best players, but he's endured some difficult spells as a Manchester United player. Rashford can play in the number 9, he can play out wide, but I think Solskjaer did reveal that he prefers Rashford out wide. And Rashford's got over 60 senior goals for the club and just over 200 odd appearances. But Rashford sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. So, yeah, they've got a really, really good friendship with Sancho and Rashford. I think Sancho also did reveal that he's an admirer of Anthony Martial, and Anthony Martial's now into his 5th season at Manchester United. He's been up and down, hasn't he, as a player. He's had some rough patches. He's also enjoyed some good spells. And, before the football season, got suspended, I think he did rejuvenate himself, Anthony Martial. I think Anthony Martial's on like 15 or 16 goals this season for the club. And I do believe Anthony Martial is the long-term future for Manchester United. I think one of the best seasons Anthony Martial endured was his debut season under Louis van Gaal, when Louis van Gaal recommended him in, because we paid £36 million for Martial from Monaco, potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million based on goals and achievements. As you all know, this season Martial's been playing in the number 9, even though he does predominantly play out wide on the left. So I think, the thing we need to do is find a permanent position for Anthony Martial. But we did get Martial as a 19-year-old, and he is now the age of 24. But I've got to say, aspects of his game have really, really improved. So yeah, Sancho coming in, really would make a difference in our attacking line. Revert back to what I said. But like I updated you yesterday, it did actually, say... And this was stemming from the Times. And they said that Jadon Sancho doesn't want to make a move to Manchester United. The main explanation for that is because it said his preference was to make a move to La Liga, to either join Real Madrid or Barcelona, to increase his chances of winning the Ballon d'Or. But, I think, Jadon Sancho does want to come to Manchester United. Now, as you all know, Sancho is going to cost us at least £100 million, but Man United will have to end up paying probably around £120 million. But like I mentioned before, either figure is going to make him a record signing in the Premier League. I think the most expensive British player in history as well. and it's going to make him our most expensive signing, because our most expensive signing at the moment is Paul Pogba, who we paid £89 million for. Now, but I think, yeah, we're the only club that are willing to meet, what Borussia Dortmund are demanding. But, reflecting on the coronavirus pandemic, it still isn't convincing Dortmund to let Sancho go on the cheap, so they do remain ruthless over their valuation. The Borussia Dortmund CEO did come out, didn't he, the other week, and, he said he will not stand in Jadon Sancho's way if he wants to leave Borussia Dortmund in the summer. Don't forget as well, we've been working on his contract for at least a couple of months now, like Fabrizio Romano confirmed a couple of weeks ago, and he tends to be a very reliable Italian journalist, and I think actually tends to be close to Manchester United. But I think it did say we're willing to offer Sancho around £400,000 a week, so that's actually double on what Rashford's on, because Rashford's on like 200 grand a week at the football club. And don't forget, Man United are willing to offer Jadon Sancho the number 7, and I think he'd operate very, very well in the number 7. And Man United have had a lot of good number 7s up and down the generations. But yeah, it did actually say if Manchester United failed to qualify for the Champions League, then Jadon Sancho may reject to move to Manchester United. We've been relentlessly linked with him. The main explanation why we didn't get him last year is because, we didn't have any Champions League football to offer. There's been a lot of uncertainty over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future, don't forget. But, he's aware the speculation is Sancho, and, Chelsea have also been in for him. Don't forget they already recruited a player from Dortmund. They got Christian Pulisic, don't forget, was it last summer if I'm right. Liverpool, of course, have been in for him. I'm very, very sceptical that Liverpool will sell either Salah, Firmino or Mane this summer, so there's no point in Liverpool getting Sancho, or there's no point in them getting Timo Werner. Let's put that into the equation, because they won't get, game time week in, week out and that. But I think, we're going to get Jadon Sancho in the summer, and he's going to be our first signing in the summer transfer window. But what it's recently said, it's reiterating what it said last week, because it came from the Irish Independent last week, saying that it's unofficially confirmed that Jadon Sancho will complete a transfer to Manchester United in the summer. As you all know, our transfer budget has been revealed, like I've mentioned on quite a few of my other videos. Solskjaer's going to get around £150 million to spend this summer on, bringing more players into the football club. Do you feel as though £150 million is enough? Obviously, the vast majority of that £150 million is going to go on Jadon Sancho. So we pay £120 million for Jadon Sancho. Then we've got £30 million left to spend. Also, put into the equation, it's looking very, very likely that we're going to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer, because Solskjaer, don't forget, recently made that admission that it's likely we're going to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. It's been revealed how much it will cost us to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. It'll cost the club around £15 million. So, but it's a cheap solution, but, if Odion Ighalo had been around 4 or 5 years younger, then, probably it'd cost a lot more than £15 million. But, we need to get him permanently, Odion Ighalo, because, like I mentioned, he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Odion Ighalo's got 4 goals in 3 starts for the football club. He's a good cover-up to Rashford, and he's totally, comparison to our other attacking players, and I think his hold-up play is very, very good. We probably will, should I say, extend his loan until the 30th of June, reflecting on the coronavirus pandemic, because his current loan spell with the club ends on the 31st of May. Yes, it does and that. So I think, we are going to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. So that will be £135 million spent there. So then we'll only have £15 million left to spend. But obviously, we're planning on selling players this summer, so that'll increase our transfer budget. But I like, what recently Ole Gunnar Solskjaer quoted out, because Solskjaer insists we will exploit the transfer market when the transfer window does reopen. So he's actually, very convinced, Solskjaer, that we can get the players that we do want in. One of the main explanations for this is because probably he's convinced we can get, the Champions League. We can get Champions League qualification for next season, so we can attract players to the elite level. And plus, Solskjaer knows teams could lose millions in transfer revenues due to this coronavirus, and, quite a lot of teams will have to offload some of their players to obviously, generate funds. So this is, the couple of explanations why. But I like, what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say. But Solskjaer, has identified the areas where he wants to strengthen up. He's obviously said, he wants to recommend a centre forward in, he wants to bring a right winger in, he wants to bring a midfielder in, and he's also, looking to bring a centre half in. But Solskjaer believes that, Man United need around 3, maybe 4 signings in the summer to become title contenders next season. But even before this coronavirus pandemic, happened and stuff like that, it was confirmed anyway that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was going to be backed in the summer transfer window, because more than likely Solskjaer will be Manchester United manager next season. Definitely, but I think he needs at least a couple of more windows to rebuild a good squad. So far Solskjaer's been here 16 months and he's enjoyed 3 transfer windows at the club. Didn't recommend anyone in his first transfer window, but in his 2 previous transfer windows, he's recommended 5 players in and spent around £220 million. And obviously, he's also got rid of around 9 players in total since he came into the football club, so you've got to credit him for that. But yeah, he's got the backing of Ed Woodward, like I mentioned, and he's also got the backing of the Glazers. But I'd be very, very delighted, if we could get Jadon Sancho on the board in the summer. Jadon Sancho is now into his 3rd season with Borussia Dortmund. I think he's been a revelation since his arrival in Germany. But there again, Sancho was dropped in quite a lot of games earlier on in the season. He was dropped in quite a lot of games, to be fair. But Dortmund, are going to make a huge profit on the player, because they only paid around £7 or £8 million to him from Man City. And that's another beneficial thing, that Sancho has played in the Premier League in the past. He enjoyed 2 years with Man City, but like I mentioned, never got assured any first-team opportunities at City, and this is the main explanation why I left City to join Borussia Dortmund. He has got a contract with Dortmund until 2022, and he is predominantly a right winger, is Jadon Sancho. But Sancho's only the age of 20, so very, very young. Will fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because Solskjaer does want to continue the policy of recruiting young players into the football club. And all of that. But yeah, we've been chasing Jadon Sancho for, a long time now. Borussia Dortmund, of course, looking for an adequate replacement for him, because they've come to accept the fact that he wants to leave. I think they're looking at the availability of Ferran Torres from Valencia. Don't forget also Jude Bellingham is on their agenda. So yeah, Jadon Sancho wants to move to Manchester United, so that's the latest news on him. Now, I'll delve into news on Kai Havertz. I haven't spoken to you guys about Kai Havertz for quite a long time now, haven't I? But I've just been reading recent reports about him. Now, obviously, it says that Liverpool have been long admirers of Kai Havertz. Also, too, we've expressed our interest in the player. But according to Sky in Germany, he's made his transfer decision as Kai Havertz, and he's revealed that he wants to join Bayern Munich. So he actually does want to remain in Germany. Bayern Munich are aware that Kai Havertz is going to cost them around £100 million at least, because Leverkusen have said that they want at least £100 million. I don't think, Liverpool anyway, would pay the £100 million, that Leverkusen are demanding for the player. So probably, will end up going to Bayern Munich. Now, Kai Havertz can play as an attacking mid. He can also play as a winner. He is the age of 20, is Kai Havertz, and I think he's good with both feet. He isn't one of our main priority targets, but it just says that, that we've expressed an interest in the player. Up until this point, Kai Havertz has spent the entirety of his career with Bayer Leverkusen. I think he was in their youth setup for a good, 6 years or so. I think he's been in their senior squad since 2016. But since then, he's become an integral part of Bayer Leverkusen's team as Kai Havertz. I think he's got to make 110 appearances in the Bundesliga, and he has scored around 30 goals. Don't he have a contract with them until 2022, if I'm right? But I think he became the youngest debutant in the Bundesliga and the youngest goal scorer ever. He is only at the age of 20. But yeah, Liverpool have been chasing him for quite some time. But I think now Bayern Munich have emerged as the favourites to get him on the board. So they want at least 100 million. Maybe could cost even more than £100 million could the player. So looking likely, he won't be coming to the Premier League. So it looks like he'll be remaining in Germany, according to Sky in Germany. So that's the latest news on him. Now, as you all know, there is quite a few players on our agenda who could replace Paul Pogba at Manchester United. Now, Reportedly, we will have to spend around £87 million of our £150 million transfer budget if we want to get that replacement for Pogba. Now, the player who will cost us around £87 million is Serge Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio. I give you the latest news about him, didn't I, a couple of days ago, because Foot Mercato, they came out and said that, we've expressed our interest in Serge Milinkovic-Savic. We've also been in for him in the past. Don't forget, under the Jose Mourinho era, we went in for Serge Milinkovic-Savic because Jose Mourinho was, keen on getting him in. But obviously, Jose Mourinho endured 2.5 years at Manchester United, and he did win 2 trophies in his first season, blah, blah, blah. But the main explanations why it didn't work out under him is because obviously he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players. And the board weren't backing the signs that I wanted to recommend in. Mourinho wanted to, get a centre-half in, never did. Like I said, he wanted to get Milinkovic-Savic in, never did. There you go. But Solskjaer, I don't think's actually, that bothered, about recommending Serge Milinkovic-Savic. Now, he's actually, a pretty decent player and he can play in various midfield roles. Is he predominantly a box-to-box midfielder, if I'm right? He can also play as an attacking midfielder. He can play as a holding midfielder. Serge Milinkovic-Savic now, I think, is into his, 5th season with Lazio. He's made around 150 appearances in the Serie A and scored around, 24 goals. I think he's got a contract with Lazio, until 2023. So do you think he'd be a good, adequate replacement for Paul Pogba, Serge Milinkovic-Savic? I also do believe as well that Real Madrid have been long admirers of the player, and he is at the age of 25. Hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, but do you think, his Premier League standard, do you think he'd come and do well in the Premier League? So yeah, he'll cost us around £87 million, will the player. I think Lazio actually, got him from Genk. So Lazio got him from next to nothing, so they'd, make a huge profit on the player if they were to sell Milinkovic-Savic. Now, so that's the player we've identified to replace Paul Pogba. There's been, other players mentioned as well. Obviously, don't forget Saul Niguez. There was a lot of talks about him the other week, possibly replacing Paul Pogba at Manchester United. I think there's definitely more chance of Milinkovic-Savic than Saul Niguez because Atletico Madrid are basically going to price him out of the market because Atletico Madrid have given their overarching view on it, and they said they want around 130 odd million pounds for Saul Niguez. Manchester United are reluctant to pay that. We're only willing to pay around half of that. We're only willing to pay around £70 million, but that's not enough to convince Atletico Madrid to offload him. But so basically, Madrid want his release clause triggered because his release clause is an astronomical amount. It's around 130 odd million pounds. Because back in 2017, Saul Niguez signed a 9-year contract with Atletico Madrid. And as it stands now, he's still got around 6 years remaining on his contract. But Saul Niguez has spent the vast majority of his career with Atletico Madrid. I think this is now his 12th season now with Atletico Madrid. He's Saul Niguez. But I think also City have inquired about his availability in the past. He can play as a central or a holding midfielder. When he was younger, he was predominantly a centre-half. I think he's on 260 odd appearances in all competitions now for Atletico Madrid. But he's been another player on our agenda who could replace Paul Pogba. But I don't see it happening. I really, really don't see that happening, to be quite honest, with Saul Niguez coming in. So my verdict on Paul Pogba is that I think he's leaving Manchester United in the summer. I'm not going to fully assure it because you never know, because his future has not been fully resolved as yet. Paul Pogba said he still wants to leave Manchester United, so he's got the same perception now than what he had last summer, because last summer he revealed out that he wanted to leave and he was seeking for a new challenge, blah, blah, blah. And his preference last summer was to make a move to Real Madrid. But the main explanation why his move to Real Madrid didn't materialise last summer is reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him. Because we priced him out of the market, we remained ruthless over our valuation. We wanted £180 million for him last summer. And I think Paul Pogba is the 5th most expensive player in the world at the moment. But, I knew Real Madrid were not willing to pay £180 million because that was just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016, because we paid £89 million for him from Juventus, don't forget. Also, too, there's been talks about Pogba making a return back to Juventus, because Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus, didn't he? Before he came back to Manchester United. But I think, his actual priority now is to join Real Madrid in the summer. And the couple of main explanations why I think this is because, he's got a good relationship with Zinedine Zidane. Also, too, Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has got good relations as well with Real Madrid. So I think he could make a move to Real Madrid in the summer transfer window. Obviously, want a lot less this summer than what we did last summer. I think, we want at least £100 million for Pogba this summer. But I think his actual valuation has dropped. Maybe, it's something to do with the coronavirus pandemic and teams under financial pressure and stuff like that. So reportedly now he could be available for just £70 million this summer, could Paul Pogba. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano, again, the Italian journalist, he said that Paul Pogba has got no intentions of buying out the remainder of his contract for 50 million, I think it was, because the Sun did report out recently saying that Paul Pogba may take a fee for transfer regulation to buy out the remainder of his contract. But that's actually not true. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract with Man United. 1 year with an option of a further year. Probably likely that Man United will trigger that 1 year extension on his contract. Maybe because he won't stay, just maybe to stop his valuation from dropping from £100 million. But yeah, there is a lot of uncertainty over his future. Don't forget, there has been swap deals on the agenda. Obviously, there was reports coming out yesterday from the Spanish press saying that we're interested in James Rodriguez from Real Madrid, and Paul Pogba could be included in a swap deal. He said last week that obviously, we was willing to offer Paul Pogba back to Juventus, so obviously, we can get De Ligt. I think a lot of United fans would take De Ligt. And also a couple of weeks ago, there was talks of Aaron Ramsey coming to Manchester United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going back to Juventus. But like I mentioned before, swap deals are very, very rare in the modern game. And similar sort of thing, well, it is the exact same thing, isn't it? It's very, very rare that players go back to their former clubs. We have seen it happen, but it's very, very rare in that. But I think Pogba's on his way out of the football club in the summer. Like I said, his agent Mini Raiola has been talking a lot since the turn of the year. Pogba's only played 8 times this season. His appearances have been limited due to his injuries. Solskjaer does believe when the season does eventually resume that when Paul Pogba will make a decisive impact to our season. I think we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba in that 3-month period when Solskjaer was the interim manager. But Solskjaer still revealed that Paul Pogba is a very, very important player. He's a very, very important player. He also endured a very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era because he had a really, really bad relationship with Jose Mourinho. But United fans have got different perceptions on Pogba. Some United fans would get rid of him and some United fans would keep him. If we can get Jack Grealish in the summer, then I don't think, we really need Paul Pogba, to be quite honest with you. But it'd free up our wage bill completely if we got rid of Pogba, because Pogba is on around £300,000 a week at Manchester United. Mikel Sylvester believes that, his head is not at Manchester United. Paul Pogba's won the Europa League and the Europa League and the League Cup with us, but he hasn't experienced like winning the Premier League with us or winning the Champions League with us. Obviously, the last time won the Premier League was back in 2013, Alex Ferguson's last season. So we haven't won it now for 7 years. The last time won the Champions League was back in 2008, which is 12 years ago now, and that was against Chelsea in the final at Moscow, wasn't it? If you do remember rightly. But yeah, I think he will leave the football club myself. But Ed Wood was trying to resolve his future because he's had some negotiations with his agent, Mini Raiola. But if we sell him, it's very imperative that we get more money for him than what we paid for him. Definitely in that. So, yeah, so who should replace Paul Pogba at Manchester United? I've obviously, earlier on today, I gave you the news already on Grealish, didn't I? I already given you the news on Maddison. I said to who would you take at Man United, Grealish or Maddison? It'd be absolutely dramatic if we could get both players, but I don't see us getting both players. I think there's probably more chance for us getting Grealish than there is Maddison. But Solskjaer is chasing his 4 priority signings. Our 4 priority signings are Sancho, Maddison, Grealish and Bellingham. And if we were to get them 4 players in, that had cost Man United around £290 million. By the way, I want to give you some news on Timothy Fosheu. I should have updated you about it before, but I've just actually read it up now. This is stemming from Sky Sports and a few other media outlets. It's confirmed that Timothy Fosheu he's been given an extension on his contract. His contract has been triggered for 1 year, so we've triggered his contract for 1 year, yeah. Because I think his current contract was due to expire, wasn't it, at the end of this season, if I'm right. There has been uncertainty over Timothy Fosheu's future, but we've triggered that 1 year extension now on his contract, so he's probably going to be staying with the club at least for another year. He'll find game time difficult though, because his versatility is good, to be fair. Because Timothy Fosheu can play as a centre half, he can play as a full back, he can also play as a defensive midfielder, but he's going to find it very, very hard to get game time. Maybe in the cup games he will get his chances. He's been injured though for a long, long time, hasn't he? Timothy Fosheu. Don't forget he returned to the club last summer after he was on loan with Fulham, where I think during his loan spell, this is where his injury actually occurred. Was it some kind of ankle injury, if I'm right? Something like that. He also had a loan spell with Crystal Palace. So yeah, we've triggered a 1 year extension on his contract. That's another positive you can take as well, especially under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, that, we've actually extended a lot of players' contracts. Like I said, we've done it with Fosheu. A couple of weeks ago, we triggered the 1 year extension on Nemanja Matic's contract. We triggered that 1 year extension on Matic's contract, reflecting on his good run of performances, because he's done really, really well as Matic. Matic is now into his third season at the football club. We paid around £40 million for him from Chelsea. Obviously, about 3 weeks ago now, was it? We give Chon a 2 year contract with an option of a further year, so he signed a new contract at the club. I think we've offered recently Angel Gomez a new contract at Man United. The only reason he hasn't played much this season, like Solskjaer revealed, because he has been uncertainty over his future. But if he signs a new contract, Gomez, I think, will get more opportunities. I think Mason Greenwood, he signed a contract till 2023 earlier on in the season. Rashford signed a new long-term contract last year. I think he's under contract with the club till 2023. There's also an option of a further year. Last year, Martial signed, was it a 5-year deal? De Gea last September signed a 4-year deal with an option of a further year, and he's on £375,000 a week at the football club. Jones, he got a new long-term contract last season. That was a bad mistake though by Manchester United. Also, I think McTominay signed a new long-term contract, was it, last year? So yeah, there's been quite a lot. We've extended a lot. Lindelof, he signed a new long-term contract as well. Don't forget, earlier on this season, Juan Mata, he signed a new contract, didn't he? Was it last year? He's still got a year left on his contract, Mata, with an option of a further year. So it's good, that we have extended a lot of players' contracts. So that's also another positive that you can take. Like I mentioned earlier, by the way, Solskjaer is planning to axe 5 players off this summer. I think we're going to get rid of around 5 players in the summer transfer window, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think definitely Phil Jones is on his way out of the football club, because obviously he doesn't even get in the team now, because like I mentioned, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre-halves. Obviously, you've got Bailly and Tuanzebe that are our backups and that. So Jones is not going to get in the team. Jones has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. He's now into his 9th season at the football club. He'll go. Definitely, I think Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira, they're on their way out of the football club because they are 2 liabilities. Like I mentioned, Jesse Lingard's found game time very difficult since the arrival of Bruno Fernandes, because Lingard has lost the confidence of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Lingard, of course, has got, I think, exactly now a year left on his contract. Don't forget, The Athletic reported out earlier on this week that Arsenal were interested in Jesse Lingard. It also says that Everton have expressed their interest in Jesse Lingard. But, reflect on his status at the football club and the years he's been here, he should be putting much more better performances out. Lingard hasn't got a goal or 1 single assist in the Premier League for over a year. So I can see him going. Pereira, a liability. Pereira played regularly this season. The only main explanation why we're playing regularly this season is because, you know, McTominay was injured. But since McTominay's come back, Pereira's found game time very, very difficult. I think Pereira's got a contract with the club until 2023. But I think he's definitely on his way out of Manchester United. He only became regular anyway, you know, last season, did Andres Pereira. He had loan spells with Granada and Valencia. Sanchez, I think we should get rid of Sanchez, but I don't think we're going to get rid of Sanchez. I think, you know, Alexis Sanchez is set to stay at Manchester United because obviously he's refusing to take a pay cut. So I actually think Sanchez will be staying at the football club because I don't think any team can afford to pay his wages off, because Sanchez at Man United, you know, was on what, 400 grand a week, potentially rising up to 500 grand a week based on the image rights and the bonuses and that. You know, so I think he's actually, you know, set to see out his contract, and his contract with the club runs until 2022. But I want us to get rid of Sanchez permanently. I think we'll also get rid of Chris Smalling permanently as well. I'm very sceptical he will come back to Manchester United. But yeah, we'll get rid of around 5 or 6 players in the summer. But like I mentioned, a lot of players have left anyway since Solskjaer's arrival. Yes, they haven't that. But I've got to credit him as well because I think Solskjaer has promoted the youth very, very well. You know, he's still got backing, a lot of backing from the players. Former Man United players are backing him. You know, some pundits out there are backing him. You know, Solskjaer's been talking with Gary Neville a lot recently. But yeah. So anyway, guys, drop me comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.